Sup shitters, my name is Logan aka Spiderhands and welcome to NSP Reviews, where today we have ourselves a track by an act named Christian Stutzig titled, from Christian Stutzig Records should I say, titled Christmas Miracle. And if we switch over to here, we have ourselves a track on the screen on YouTube. This is a revised version. There have been some changes that I think we're going to hear soon from the original, so we're going to listen through it from start till finish and we're going to hear what we think. Let's go. Nice panning or automation of the volume with the Christmas bells, the marching drums. Oh, it's great. There's some orchestral drums in there as well. I think the composition overall is great. Not a massive fan of the way that the rhythms are being phrased here between the drums and the vocals. I think individually they're cool ideas, but they don't seem to necessarily be in sync. I can't tell when the thing comes in, when it doesn't, when it kind of goes out. The choir vocals in the background are really pretty though, and I do like the singing itself. Yeah, it sounds like the drums are an awkward addition to a mix where everything else seems to be in unison with each other. Like, it's like we're trying to stitch two things together that may not necessarily kind of link together or fit together that well. Because I'm listening for a center groove. You know, I'm trying to hear that quarter note groove, or the eighth note groove. Yeah, I'm trying to figure out what the dominant instrument is. It's almost like we've got a polyrhythm, dun dun dun, bum 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 bum, and da 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 da. We've got a swing groove with like a straight 4/4. I think that's it. So in music, you can have two types of rhythm. Again, the straight 4/4, which is 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2. But then 1 and a 2 and a 3 and a 4 and a 1 and a 2 and a 3 and a 4 and that second one is kind of what we'll go with everything apart from the drums. The drums are 1 and 2 and 3 and a 4 and with some 30-second buzz rolls. The bass, the vocals, etc. have got a swing groove to them. I think that's what the issue is. The drums here have the swing groove, which is why it works a lot. It's a lot more effective because everything's in a sense of rhythmic unity. Every day is like Christmas. I think the vocals are stunning. I like when we don't have the marching drums, those buzz rolls going on, because there's a great sort of arrangement there. You know, everything's notched into its own part of the frequency spectrum. The instruments sound Christmassy. The theme is nice and positive and uplifting as per the story. Every day's like Christmas. I promise you, every day is like Christmas. Like being together and finding each other and having that close connection to that physical intimacy, I suppose, you know, not being separated. Dun 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 bum 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 bum. You know, there's a catchy little bell melody, little lead on top above the vocals. I mean, the synth brass. You know, the synth brass is kind of a fun, quirky texture. Very spicy rhythm though. It's kind of like we got dun 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 bam bam bam. Where it's a very sudden kind of jarring shift in that groove. But lots of fun variation with those brass instruments though. I like that little solo section we've got here. The pianos, the bass, the drums, and everything else outside of the buzz roll sound fantastic. And a Christmas Miracle, a project from Christian Stutzig. Idea, songwriting, composition, arranged by Christian Stutzig, vocals by Zoe, mixed and mastered by Fabian Kaisvetter. Great. Merry Christmas. Yeah, I am happy with the way that it was mixed and mastered. I think the studio production was tight. But yeah, this is my conclusion of, you know, Christmas Miracle. Christmas song charts hit song Christmas Miracle by Christian Stutzig Records. What do I think this track is about? I think this track is about the miracle of being with people at Christmas time and it feeling like Christmas whenever you're with that person. That's basically it. I mean, the music was kind of meant to sound like that. You had a wonderful sort of array of different instruments, but more importantly, we'll get to that in a moment. The story that was communicated by Zoe was heartfelt. They sounded like they were genuinely invested in the performance. The head and chest voice vocal technique was great. A little bit of legato passages there and a little bit of vocal ornamentation, which was welcome. There weren't any vocal harmonies because it was just mainly Zoe in the center field most of the time, but that's fine. We didn't really need those. And yeah, it sounded like we did really miss someone and we wanted to be with them for Christmas and that we did celebrate their existence in our lives. I think the track at, 5:36 was, it was a long track, but we had choruses and verses and lots of context in the story there. It was a peppy, uplifting theme there for the most part, very Christmassy with the different instruments that sound like that genre. And I think that it kind of, I guess I'm a little bit biased towards Christmas tunes, so maybe that's why it was more tolerable at a longer form factor, because the sweet spot is usually 2 to 4 minutes, but it was fine. There was a solo section at the end as well. We had the synth brasses there, and we had the intro as well, which I think was like just an instrumental intro, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, we had the big band there with the orchestral drums and the brass and all that. So it was a very pompous occasion at the beginning there before we got into the story. I think the vocal melodies that were over that motif were great. They were nice and catchy and memorable, and there was a great presence of the singer to the mix. The drums, nah man, I can't support the drums we had there, the marching drums. They were, again, when you have most of your instruments in an arrangement playing a swing groove, it's just going to be too blunt rhythmically to have something else, especially a percussive device, doing straight 4/4. Which is, again, a different way of phrasing rhythms than the swing rhythms you had with like the bass and like the drums and the chorus parts and the piano and the synth and the bells and everything else like this. And the vocals. That was the main complaint I had about this track, and I won't go over it too long, but the percussion wise, I enjoyed the eighth note grooves we had with the swing and the chorus sections with the kick and snare focus as well as the cymbals. I did not enjoy the buzz roll kind of parts in the verses where they clashed rhythmically against other elements of the arrangement. The start, when you had the instruments by themselves kind of playing along to that sort of intro groove, well, that was fine. It's just that when the vocals came in, it became a little bit disjointed. The piano parts were nice and cheery sounding. They weren't overly emotionally complex. They were meant to be sort of uplifting, kind of popish kind of chords. So that was fine. And there was not an out of place with those. The Christmas bells, they were great. They articulated the triads really well. And any other instruments in that upper register, whether they be other bells or other Christmassy leads or whatever, were well handled as well. I think that, I've got to give a shout out to especially with the intro there, the textures and the depth of the composition. There's a lot going on. But I think that Christian Stutzig handled it for the most part. And aside from that one bit, I've kind of got like a little bit of contention with. I'm otherwise really happy with it. It did sound Christmassy and it was uplifting and the theme did match the story and the vocals, and for the most part things notched together really well. There was a connection between the elements. Finally recording, mixing and mastering, studio production. It was alright. I'm not upset about it. I think that the vocals sounded nice and present in the mix. The drums, for what we had there, the tones were leveled well. In fact, the leveling in general with the various elements of the mix was really solid. The drums, the bass. The bass line, I didn't really talk about that in the instrumental section. The bass line was basically articulating the root notes of the chords and the harmony and didn't really go too far out of that, but it didn't really need to at the same time. But yeah, getting back to the mixing, the studio side, I think that things were leveled well, EQ'd and filtered well. There were reverb tails and bits of airiness on some of the upper textures, which are important. You don't need to have them, if you have them too raw or too dry, it'll sound a little bit kind of stale and kind of clunky sounding. So it's great we had a bit of mistiness and intrigue there. But the low end was nice and tight. Things were notched well in the frequency spectrum without any resonant frequencies, and things were nice and wide in the stereo field. There was dynamic range to this performance, which I appreciate, this recording, which was good. And it was nice and low without pumping. All in all, for the most part, I'm really happy with Christmas Miracle, the revised version from Christian Stutzig Records, and hopefully enjoyed it. If you did, please go check out their various social medias and their YouTube page, and stay cool, stay safe, and please remember to support your local musicians and artists at this point in time, as they help more than ever with all the crazy stuff going on in the world, and I'll catch you in the next review. Spartans out.